Gonna let this ride out for a bit, listeners. Welcome back.
Hey, folks.
If you guys are tuning in through the Good News Radio app, make sure to check us out in the chat line. If you guys are viewing us through YouTube, make sure to tap in that chat line. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Said Connects, live from the TGN Latinx station. This is your host, Danny, and I'm here with Julia. How are you,
Hello.
Julia?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. For our listeners tuning in for the first time, this is Said Connects, Cannabis Entrepreneurial Dialogues, where our mission is to create spaces for people and brands of color that are in the cannabis industry to elevate their stories, educate, and empower our communities. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If it's your first time, if it's your second time, this is actually our 10th episode on
Woo!
the Good News Radio app. Oh yeah, let's do that. It's our 10th episode, and we've been doing this for 10 weeks. So I feel like I'm getting a little comfortable now with this. What do you think?
I think you're doing great. I
Uh,
think you're doing really, really well.
yeah,
But that's just me, right?
thank you. We have a special guest in the house. We have Dr. Pepper Hernandez in the building today.
Yes. That's another shout out right there.
Oh, I gotta turn this up. There it goes. There it goes. But before we get into the episode, we got a few sponsors that we got to rock out. So our first sponsor, we have Smoke Apparel. Smoke Apparel is cannabis lifestyle brand that advocates for social equity. They're also cannabis advocates. They have some of the best gear out. If you want to go ahead and order from Smoke Apparel, go ahead and make sure to visit their website at smokeapparel.com. That's SHMOKE apparel.com. Make sure that we sent you, and I'm sure they'll take care of you guys, their family. We love their gear. We love what they stand for. And we appreciate that they're sponsoring
Hey,
our
Schmo.
episodes this month. What's up, Smoke? What up, guys? We love you guys, and we appreciate you for everything that
Thank
you're doing.
you.
And then we'll take the next one, right?
Yes, our second sponsor is Can. They're our newest sponsors. They're creating the future of drinking. They create low dosage drinks that provide a similar buzz without the hangover. You can find their brand at your local dispensary and visit them at Drink Canna. And I do want to share that we had our baby shower this past weekend. And, every Latino party has that one cooler that has the beer and, the other one that has all the like drinks that are safe for everyone to have. Well, we decided to purchase some Canna drinks and include them in our beer cooler, right? Like for those folks that want to partake.
Yep.
And we were definitely verbal about like what they were. And the lids are like, they're different. So if anyone kind of picked one up, it's not like you can just crack it open like a regular Coke. They're definitely childproof. And so folks, like our family and folks were asking like, what is this? And they were taking them and they were using them. And that's something that hasn't been normalized in our family. Like
I'm sure in a lot of families.
Yeah.
I don't know how many families are having cannabis drinks at their parties, but we definitely took that step.
We did. And I don't think we really thought about it until we were actually there and we're like, hey, like how great is this, right? Like if you want to have your beer, go ahead, have your beer. But if you want to have something else and you want to partake, it's available and it's here and the flavor is awesome. And like we got really good reviews. People were like, "Oh, can I take one home to have one later
Yeah.
too?" Cuz
Yeah.
it's microdosing. So it wasn't like anyone was going to be like plastered or just like, out of whack with it. Everyone was there to just have a great time, and I think we definitely accomplished that with Can. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited we had them.
For sure, and for our listeners that are tuning in for the first time, like Julia mentioned, they're cannabis infused drinking, and they're really low dosage. Like what we have here, and when you see, we have a grapefruit rosemary, and it's 2 milligrams of THC with 4 milligrams of CBD. So it's definitely a low dosage drink, and it's something that it's easy to take. The drink is very light, and you can definitely taste the flavor that is listed on the can. So that's what I really appreciate about this drink is that it's a really light drink and it won't take you over the top. And so it's something that shouldn't be as scary as when you hear about an edible, like, oh no, I don't want to
Right.
mess with edibles. Like this is definitely something that it's manageable and it's easy to handle.
Right.
But
So
yeah, thank you, Ken. Thank
thank
you,
you,
guys.
Can.
Thank you, Ken, for sponsoring us again, and for providing us with something that families can really start taking on. And if that wasn't the intent, well, now we just giving you guys another way to market your
Avenue.
brand.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Let's have it at family parties.
Yeah, we got the chat lines already going. We got Sheila saying you're doing great. We got Juan saying they're awesome. We got Steven saying dope hoodie, Danny. Absolutely, thank you, man. We got the dope flavors hoodie. I checked them out over last week, and they blessed me with this hoodie. So thank you, Steven, and the team for this hoodie. But let's get into this episode. We have, like I mentioned earlier, we have Dr. Pepper Hernandez here. How you doing, Dr. Pepper?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing wonderful.
Good, good, good. Do you want to start anything? You
Uh,
start off.
okay, let's introduce you.
Yeah.
We were doing our research, and I'm gonna give this a shot. Okay, follow
Okay.
along, and then cover whatever I don't get. You're a naturopathic, PhD in transpersonal psychological, which is
Psychology, right?
psychology, humanistic approach to therapy, which values wholeness, board certified health practitioner, award winning holistic cannabis practice in Humboldt County, created a Cannabis Holistic Institute, which focuses on finding the right strain to help with patients' ailments. You've been publicated. Did I
And,
miss any? Go ahead.
and cannabis consultant therapy training. Right? Did we miss anything there?
I think you covered a big portion of it.
You're doing
Yes.
a lot.
That's a lot.
Like,
Yeah.
Dr.
Thank
Pepper, you
you.
are doing a lot.
Well, it's a cumulative over all of the years, right? So over, 2 decades ago, I started working with cannabis for myself. And then about a decade ago, I started getting focused on my education in a particular way. So it's not like it all happened at one time. It's been, you know, a while. I've been working on this for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
And you know
thank
what I
you for
love?
having me.
As we were doing research, I love that you're published because as um a canna mom, I'm always looking for articles, like published articles, accredited articles, like real people that are doing real research on cannabis, right? Trusted research. So I really love that you're taking that route and that you're doing that for us, for all of us, right? To just have
Thank you.
access to research based work. So thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Yeah, I'm in about 6 cannabis publications currently. So I write reoccurring columns for several nationwide.
Thank you.
And I'm kind of like the canna geek. I love learning and geeking out about the cannabis research and the development there. That's what I really like hone in on. Everything else is fun and it has its place, but like I'm really about the research and just fine tuning the terpenes, cannabinoids, flavonoids, even for the different body systems. So I'm one of the nerds.
We're lucky to have you.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
So talk to us about your upbringing. What was your upbringing like? Where did you grow up? And what was the access to the plant for you growing up?
Oh wow, this is a good question. So I was born and raised in Oklahoma, Western Oklahoma, actually. And, at that time, there was no access to cannabis. It was definitely under the radar, right? It was under the radar for lots of people, but not as my like indigenous roots, like over about 100 years ago. It was easily accessible to all of us. It was just the plant that we used for fibers, for clothing, for medicine, for nutrients, for food, even. And then it was just taken away so very quickly. So the last 100 years, people who were born and raised in that time frame, we didn't have access like we used to. But not to get so on a soapbox there with it, because I'm very passionate about having equal rights to this plant for men and women and people of all color. um, I utilized it in college, just like a lot of people did.
Right.
Soon did I find out my father grew, I should probably not tell anybody this, but he grew cannabis in his basement, back in the 70s. He had the big afro, Cheech and Chong, like did the whole thing and grew pot back then. No, none of us knew until I was older. And then now we can tell that it's in our veins because my mother she loves cannabis. She's a good gardener and she grows some of the best cannabis there is around. My brother is a geneticist, and so he geeks out on which plants and terpenes work best. And he's been a farmer for over a decade. I've grown indoor and outdoor for about a decade now as well. And I geek out on the research end of it. So it's in our veins for sure.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Now, talk to us about, I guess, the process with with growing. You mentioned that you grow, right? So, what are some of what are some of your favorite strains to grow?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess it depends on where you're at. So I grew indoor and outdoor in Humboldt County, and I was right on the coast. So you had to be very careful about what you could grow there. Up in the hills, you could grow something a little bit better. Well, I shouldn't say better, but it was less difficult to grow.
Okay.
Um, so some of the old strains that I love growing and I go back to are Northern Lights. It's just a beautiful
Oh,
strain. It puts off gorgeous. I focus on more of what we used to call indica dominant or heavy indica. Now we don't call it that necessarily so much. We call it by their terpenes. So I like to grow plants that are heavy in linalool or the Kush varietals because that's going to be helpful for my nervous system. So one of the best plants that I ever grew though was this with this strain called Sapphire. It was just gorgeous and it spiraled out. You can't find it very much anymore because no one grows it, but it was beautiful. That was really fun to grow. And recently, now I know Sour OG or like a diesel, everybody's grown, but I've never really liked it until this year. And it is just beautiful. It's blowing my socks off. I love it. Um, I mean, I could just go on and on and on and tell you all the
Yeah.
strains that I've grown and that I love. Northern berry I grew this year. Love that plant so much. It's beautiful. It puts off like all sorts of colors when it's ready for harvest. It's kind of like going to the Northeast and seeing the foliage. It's just this
oh,
beautiful, and you know when it's ready because it just sets off these beautiful colors of like orange and maroon and purple. I can't go on about that. So visually, the northern berry has been my favorite. That and the sapphire because it's like a purple kush. But
Yeah.
for my personal usage, that northern light or even silver haze, those varietals I like to grow.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
But it depends on indoor or outdoor or up the hill or down the hill or
Right.
over here, whatever, So I like growing different things in different places.
Is that what led you to Humboldt from Oklahoma?
No, honestly, Danny, it wasn't. The universe took me there. God took me there. Goddess took me there. Right. And I just got out of medical school for my first degree, which is in naturopathic medicine. And I thought, I'm going to take 2 years off. I'm not going to do anything but travel. and I was going to start up in Canada and go down to Baja and then kind of go into the Caribbeans. Well, shit, that never happened. I I was in
You're still
Canada.
making your way.
Kind of. COVID changed a lot of things. But no, I went from Canada down into Humboldt, and I sat there on the ocean at Trinidad State Park, and I realized something that I had never realized before, that I just needed to be present. And I thought, oh, I'll just be here for a couple months. 10 years later,
Oh.
10 years later, COVID, God shook the rug again. And then,
Okay.
now I'm dispersed back here to Oklahoma most of the time, helping my family, but then also still in Humboldt. So yeah, I didn't even know what I was getting into when I went there. I had no idea about the weed game. I had no idea it was, well, what we think of. We think we grow the best weed in the world. I'm just going to say that. We think we do. And, we could be right, but I had no idea when I was walking into the Emerald Curtain. I didn't know what was behind that. I didn't even know what it was. That's
Yeah.
how foolish that I was about cannabis specifically. But man, have I learned a lot, and have I been so blessed to be with some of the best organic farmers in the world.
That is lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
We have Sheila in the chat line saying, I love her passion for the plants.
Oh, thank you, Sheila.
Yeah, it just shines through. And I love, so as you were speaking, you said something that really, like, it jumped out at me the first time I heard, and I was like, oh, I want to hear her talk more about that, because I'm still in the heyday. I'm still in the indica sativa world. And
Okay.
when I hear you speak, and when I've watched some of your YouTube videos, you're talking about terpenes. You're very, like, you're specializing, you're honing in on what works for what, for
Yeah.
what you need it for. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Oh, Julia, I can talk to you about that for days and days and days. So we might have to be more specific. But really, it comes down to, I'll do a long way around it. Okay. It
Okay.
really comes down to the body systems. We have over 11 different body systems. So the nervous system, skeletal system, glandular system, muscular system, so on and so on and so on, circulatory, right? So for each person's body, when we have disailment, disease, or discomfort, it's in one of those body systems. For example, mine is nervous system. I've had seizures and epilepsy for 20 years. So when I go to look at a cannabis plant, it cannot be any cannabis plant. And so when I say the medical side, the research end, we're no longer looking at sativa or indica. We're not even calling things strain anymore. We call it cultivar now. And there's a reason for that too. But if you just call it indica or you just call it sativa, you're really locking out a bunch of potential medicinally. So back to the nervous system, I have nervous system issues. I'm going to look across the board at all the terpenes and all the cannabinoids and even the flavonoids that are in that particular cultivar or strain, to make sure that I get the very best bang for my buck when it comes to the medicine that I either put in or on my body, right? So it's body system, then it's what I call the cannabis fingerprint, which is what I just kind of explained to you. And then on top of that, the dosing and application methods. So, when I say I'm a canna geek, I really am. I've been doing this for a minute to work with my own body system and with thousands of patients across the globe now at this point, to really help them figure out exactly which terpenes and cannabinoids that they need to be looking out for, and finding that particular seed or that particular clone to grow for, say, their grandma or for their child, right? And so it takes all the guesswork out. It gets
You
you
still
right
do
down
that
to the
consultant
piece.
work, yes?
Say again?
You still do that personalized consultant work.
Oh, that's all I do every day, all
Okay.
day. Yeah.
Okay. Just
I
sharing with
love
our
it.
guests, because someone said, can we be buddies so we can learn more?
Yes. Yes. I have free videos over on YouTube. I have tons of articles out there on all those cannabis publications. And then I do the Cannabis Holistic Institute, where I personally train cannabis therapy consultants to go out. And what we're doing is we're teaching people to become teachers. We don't want just a student. We don't want just someone who's going to learn. We want someone who's going to teach, because I can't do all of it, even though I want to. There's, I'm learning something new every single day. So I got to be doing that. So I'm helping other people teach this out, share this with our communities, because hopefully, Danny and Hula, you'll agree with this. If someone tries cannabis and it's not what they thought or not what they wanted, that first time, that's all they get. They get one shot and that's it. So if we can minimize that satisfaction, minimize or reduce the rate for unwanted alteration, right? If the person gets too high, for example, if we can reduce that risk, and it can actually help exactly what they're wanting to use it for. Win, win, win. Win, win, win.
Now, for the institute, do they need to be in Humboldt to be able to have access to those classes, or do you host these classes virtually? Can anyone across the state be a part of this institute?
That's a great question. The short answer is it is an online version now. So anyone can join. We only take a handful of students a year, because I have to do a personal one-on-one connection with every single one. So the application method, like everything is really, really dialed in. Like, I'm talking to every student, because if my name's on your certification, you better know what you're talking about. You better get out there and you better, right? Like, it's not about quantity of students, it's about the quality of students. And so that's why my program is a little bit different. But we've been doing the program for like 6 years out in Humboldt, and it was really just for a couple of the physicians locally. It started with 12 students, and it was just us to kind of get the educators, those people who have been in the hills with 3 generations of farming under their belt, to come into town to talk to us. I didn't want just the research out of Israel. I didn't want just the new, producer that was producing some product. I didn't want them to talk. I wanted to know the real history, the real deal behind the medicine. So we've been archiving all of those speakers from Humboldt. And so a lot of the content, or most of the content, is in Humboldt. Recently this year with COVID, we've been gathering a lot of farmers and educators out here in Oklahoma. And now that we have international students, we have, education coming in from as far as Nepal. So it's still a very, very tight, small network of people, which is the way I like it, because that way I can keep tabs on everybody, and I can answer questions, and people can call me. That's what I want. I want it to be like that. I want it to be a network. And the reason why, let me just finish with this piece. The reason why we started with just physicians, and then the second year we built it and allowed, nurses and holistic health practitioners. And then the third year was more like mothers who were in the cannabis industry, like farmers. The reason why we built it like this is so that each and every student that comes in now, they have access to this huge network of amazing humans that know exactly what they're doing in their particular field. Right. So it's unmatchable.
Yeah, no, it sounds interesting. And Sheila, again in the chat, like, I want to be your disciple to learn and to teach.
Sheila, let's be friends. Reach out, Sheila. Let's be friends. We're solid.
Send that friend request.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So I watched your Yoni Health and Wellness YouTube video, and I loved it. I love that you just you talked about sexual health, you talk about healing, you talk about trauma, you talk about empowerment, right? And self-care. You just I feel like you just tied all of them into this beautiful little gift that you gave us. And I don't know how long the video was.
Like a 12-minute video, 10, 12 minute
But
video.
It was wow, that was awesome. I got so much out of really, folks, if you haven't checked her videos out, her YouTube videos out, I didn't get to watch all of them. I'd be lying if I said that. But that Yoni Health one, I was like, wow, she like, yes, you hit the mark, you hit the mark. And you're talking about how different things work to help different parts, like if we're dealing with trauma, if we're dealing with sexual healing, if we're dealing with different things, if we're addressing different issues, you're going to approach those things differently. And I really love the way that it was presented.
Thank you for
So
doing
thank
that.
you for
Those videos are so random. I just kind of pop on sometimes and just talk because I've taught so many classes that then sometimes I just decide that I need to teach this to whoever wants to listen. But yeah, it's a holistic approach. So I say
right,
cannabis can, if you have the right strain and you have the right dialed in measurements for cannabis, it will probably heal about 90% of anything that's going on, which is a huge amount. But it's a holistic system. Our bodies are holistic. So the moment you go back to regular scheduled program, being in an abusive relationship, eating cheeseburgers or whatever it be, mental health, if you're talking unhealthy to yourself or in your yoni space, you're putting something that your yoni definitely doesn't want there and it's trying to tell you, if you're not paying attention to the whole system,
right.
then your ailment, disease, or discomfort is going to continue. So even though cannabis is a huge piece, there's so much more, so much more.
Right.
For going back to the growing process and being so conscious about the environment of the plant and everything. Um, as we start to see more and more farms and facilities grow larger and larger, what's your thoughts on the plant moving forward with the care that's being given from a larger facility versus a smaller facility, a smaller farm?
This is such a Pandora's box, really.
Mhm.
And you're talking to someone and you're asking someone from a medicinal uh, view, but also from a local small farm, hashtag craft cannabis vision. That's all I stand for. So I think, indoor has its place. I've grown indoor, but it was during the winter time when I couldn't get my cultivars outdoor. So I had to do that because I had seizures and I was also going through cancer. So I had to have a particular strain in cultivar growing at all times. So there was a reason for that. So I think there's a reason for everything. But when we lose sight of growing organic and local and helping our economy, but also helping our community, when we're outside of that, that I don't agree with. So industrial, large type things, those type of facilities, I won't be supporting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I know it sounds so harsh, but we
No,
only
no.
have, but the reason, I mean, they're all there for a reason. I think it's great. And I think, hemp has its place, whether it's outdoor helping the agriculture or indoor. And that is great for textiles and fabrics. Let's get back to that. That's wonderful. That's where the hemp needs to go. Medicine, this is my view. This is why I say the bigger industrial, those huge warehouses that are just raping, like that kind of stuff I'm against. But this is why, because I think every single human being should learn how or should have access to learning how to grow cannabis themselves. And if we did that, so I'm the pro home cultivator, okay? If we did that, those plants would be right there in the garden next to the tomatoes for those people who are
Right.
abundant enough to have a garden. For those who do not, there are communities that could build gardens. So that's where I put my energy. We only have so much time, so much energy. And so rather than being against something, I take my energy and put it for something. And so my energy for something would be pro home grows or at least focusing on supporting those local farmers who are doing it right from the beginning, who want longevity, sustainability. They're dialed in and they know that that medicine has to be clean. It has to be clean. It has to be organic. So that's where I put my energy in. So that's why that may have sounded really harsh, but
No, it didn't.
that's just what I have to do.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And I was just asking because I was having a conversation with someone while I was in San Francisco last week, and that was a conversation that we talked about was that there's some folks that when they're looking for um, flower or certain strains, um, they're if they find out or if they hear that it's coming from a larger facility, they don't want to purchase though that flower, not only because it's supporting big business, but it's because the the time that's being spent on those plants may not have been um it was that time wasn't given to the larger plant, like to the larger fields versus the smaller fields, because they know they're giving more attention to each plant. It's giving all the nutrients that it's needed. So I just wanted to hear your take on that, because there it's kind of like, I come from an educational background, right? I
Right.
come from like schools, and we hear a lot of, if you put your child into a school where a smaller classroom, a smaller class size, it's going to be more attention given to the child versus a classroom with 20 to 30 children in the school. Like, there's going to be children that are missed out on education. Same thing maybe with a plant, right? There's going to be those plants that miss out on specific nutrients that might have been needed naturally, because not everyone can catch the 100, let's say 100 plants versus 30 plants. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're looking at those, small farmers or those craft farmers or those local farmers for those states that are legal currently, those people are making their own fermented tea. They're making sure that each one of those plants are hand watered. They're talking to their plants.
Right.
Some of the crazy people like myself, we put music on for the plants, or even like, hippy dippy crystals in there with the plants. I mean, I've done it all. I've done it all,
Yeah.
but I was growing those plants with one intentional purpose, which was to heal my body. And so when you have people who are putting intention into their crops, into their harvests, man, that means a lot. It's a big difference. It's a huge
Absolutely.
difference.
Absolutely. I heard a farmer recently. I was watching a video where a farmer, like the way that he was promoting himself, where he said, I touch my plants every day. I touch them, every single plant, every single day. And at first, it didn't it didn't sink in. It kind of just sat on top. But then as I kept watching the video, I was like, that's a big deal. That means a lot to
Absolutely.
know that someone was there with that plant every day. And we have more some comments from our viewers. What's happening here in Miami? Big corporations are taking advantage and only helping themselves instead of the smaller farmers. And then Sheila said, me too.
That's why we have to purchase with our dollar, no matter what state you're in. You have to purchase with your dollar, and it may be $1.50 versus $1. There might be a major markup, but you're giving it to a farm that is supporting their family. They're putting food on their table. They are buying maybe a new pair of shoes for their kid for this school year. I mean, that's what that looks like.
Right.
That's what you're supporting is your community and real humans. Where these big brands that we all know,
Mm,
I mean, are they really that good? And is the weed really even that good? Like, what are they putting on it? What's that COA? And are they looking at their plants every day? Like, there's just a lot to balance out. And for those people who can't afford or don't have the luxury of choosing, no pressure on you. You get your medicine in the way that you need to get your medicine. I am pro get your medicine. But for those people that are lucky enough to live in saturated communities like myself in Humboldt, or now that, Oklahoma, or even going up into New York, things like that, like, we have a choice. We can make that choice. And we can make the choice for the other people too
right.
Absolutely.
by
Thank you.
supporting small farms. Yeah.
Are there any specific farms that you'd like to recommend or
Oh
shout
my
out?
goodness. I have so many, and I would be doing a disservice to
Oh,
some of them if I just named my favorites. So
okay.
I'm not going to do that, but I can tell
Gotcha.
you that the people who are out there doing KNF practices or something similar to Korean natural farming practices, they're doing year-round composting. They're doing what's right for their soil. So they're moving the farm from one part of their land to another part of their land so the land will heal. They're doing sustainable work. They're doing like their own fertilizers on property. They're not purchasing fertilizers, so they're not wasting plastic. I mean, these people and the people that are packaging and even hemp packaging, that's the shit, man. That is
Right.
Yeah.
crazy. These people are ahead of the time. This is the people that I would like to support. And if you follow me on any of my social media platforms, you'll see who I'm supporting.
Yeah.
But
All right.
I would honestly do a disservice if I were to name a couple
No,
Yeah.
because
No.
that's
there's
fine.
just so
No.
many people that doing it right. There are so many.
Absolutely. In last week's episode, we had David Powell also out of Humboldt, and he was saying the same thing. And that's some that's the work that he's also leading into is with the cannabis paper patent that he has. That's he's going back to the local farmers out in Humboldt, and he's trying to figure out ways to work with them to be able to utilize the entire plant to make packaging as cannabis, paper and all that. So I know the work out there is being done. It's just, we got to find these pieces and we got to bring them all together so that we can make this work continue, right?
And support them.
Absolutely. And it's just people like, all of us and everyone that's asking questions. It takes us. We just have to ask that question. We have to talk about it. We have to find that farmer or find that product. We have to make sure that that product is, available. Will it be available next year? Do I need I mean, there are farms where you have to sign up a year ahead of time just to get a pound. Like you're like, oh, I want that one for sure. Like that's my head stash. Like,
Yeah.
so everybody's on a different level, right? Everybody's in a different layer of it, but we can all support small farms by even just saying it and just asking some questions at the dispensary or just some questions when you go to a person's website. Look for COAs, see what kind of shit they're putting on the plants.
Yeah.
First off, if you don't want to put it on your food, you definitely don't want to put it on your smoke.
Yeah, and for those listeners that are tuning in, and if you just got in, we have Dr. Pepper here with us. But COAs is certificate of analysis, which are the testing results for the products that are being pushed out into the legal market. Everything needs to be tested before it hits the final destination, which is the dispensaries. And you can always go into any dispensary and ask for a COA for any particular product that you're looking to purchase, and there it will give you the all the information that Dr. Pepper is talking about in terms of the terpene profiles. You can find out THC content, CBD contents, how much percentage is on there, what was tested. So you can always get all of that information, or at least you should be getting all that information at
Absolutely.
your local dispensaries.
And if they don't have it, continue to ask for it because that's how the the farmers are going to put this on their products. That's how the product and manufacturer people are going to put this on. That's how dispensaries are going to purchase according to what the consumer wants, what the patient needs. So make sure that we're asking for it. It is essential. It's like purchasing something and not having the label, the ingredient label
Right,
on it,
Right.
right? Like
right.
a box of pasta or something. You don't know what's in it? No way. No, thank you.
Absolutely.
I love it.
so
I love the passion.
so do we want to go to the quick questions real quick, or do you want to just keep going?
Uh, you tell me.
Let's go. Let's do a um a few of these would you rather questions, if you don't mind, Dr. Pepper. You
Sure.
good with that? All
I
right.
hope I don't lose you. My phone looks like its power is about to go, but I'm gonna go until it dies. So if you
Okay.
let
Okay. Would you rather travel alone or with a big group of people?
oh really? I don't know. I always travel alone. So my initial
Oh,
instinct is travel alone.
Yeah.
okay. Would you rather skip Christmas or skip New Year's?
Wow, this is so I'm real deep, so I'm gonna go
Okay.
like 18 layers deep where it shouldn't be
Oh,
that. It should just be like first answer, right? Um, I'd probably say skip New Year's
Okay.
because the holidays are really important to my family. They're not necessarily
Mm,
Christian,
Yeah.
but they just spend time together. So I wouldn't want to miss out on that. But New Year's, nobody, whatever. Like we do our vision boards and our New Year's stuff, and I
right.
make
Yeah.
tamales and shit. But we could do that. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Would you rather visit your ancestors or your great great grandchildren?
ancestors for sure because I don't have any children, and I probably won't.
Okay.
Ancestors, and I visit them all the time. They come to me all the time. Thank God.
Oh,
Yeah, thank God.
only only dessert or only savory?
Only dessert every day, all day chocolate. Yes.
All right. Thank you
All
for
right. Thank
playing.
you for that. All right. So as we talked about earlier before we hopped on live, I mentioned that I was at the NCIA conference last week, and I happened to sit in a room with Mary Jane with THC Magazine and Lindsay out of Native Farms in Humboldt, and they kind of touched on some work that you guys are planning together. Do you mind sharing a little bit of what's to come from this collaboration that you guys are working on?
Yeah, of course. So, it's the Indigenous Cannabis Coalition. And Mary Jane, she has a lot of projects going right now. She has the magazine and the THC magazine. But the real focus for at least us as women and men in this ICC is to focus on Indigenous cannabis for the brown communities and getting access to being able to grow that or to use that in whatever way, shape, or form. And I think that there's also an undercurrent here of a focus on incarceration, people who've been incarcerated for the cannabis, when now there's a certain group of people who are just banking on that, and it's not quite fair. So there's a lot of things in the works, but I think just softly, that's what I would like to mention.
Great. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. I had a conversation with Lindsay, and we're looking to have her on the show along with Mary Jane.
They're
So
fabulous people. They're
yeah,
absolutely fabulous, and they're so strong in what they're doing. They're both absolutely amazing. They would be fabulous guests for you.
thank you. We're looking forward to it. Um, Van life.
Please charge your phone. I want to hear all of this. I'm like, I
Oh, you
need
keep
all
saying
of
low power, so I keep
it.
pushing it. So we'll see.
Van life. Talk to us about the van life. How did that get going?
You know, I don't know how that got going. It just kind of happened. I mean, I manifested the shit out of that, but it took a while. It took like a year. So I guess honestly, like going back to Humboldt, I was there for a decade. I did, brick and mortar. I was paying all the bills. It was a pretty high, expensive rate for all that stuff with one person. Like the grows and the house and the, staff and everything. Then COVID came and we all panicked and we all freaked out, right? And I even, in the moment I was, doing, like I had kind of mentioned a little bit, I praying to my ancestor and said, okay, what next? What next? What do you want me to do? Like, where do you want me to go? What's happening? And it was a shutdown, and it was a solid shutdown. And I knew right away, because I had a little insight, that it wasn't a couple weeks. It wasn't a couple months. It was for real. It was going to happen for a long time. So I decided to come back to Oklahoma. And when I did, I just started watching more TV, not TV, but more like YouTube than I'd ever watched before because there was a lot more time on my hands. And I started seeing these people that were doing van life. And I thought, well, that's cool. I've done that before because I did. I traveled both coasts in a Volkswagen van, 1977, pea green camper pop top back, when I in my 20s. And I did, the West Coast twice and the East Coast once. And I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved being on the road. So I thought, okay, I got all this time. I don't know what's happening with the world. I am not going to be able to travel abroad or speak abroad like I was doing, like I was planning, because I was booked out that whole year. Well, all that shit got canceled. So, which is fine. It's all good. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be. And so I decided after watching those van videos, it kind of rekindled that spirit that I had when I was traveling on the coasts. And I was just like, I can do this. I didn't know anything at the time. I was so naive, just like what I do with everything else. I'm like, I can do this. And so I bought a van. And it took a while. It took 6 months to find one. But I bought one, and it was right before they went really, really crazy high, because now I think it's quite expensive to buy them
Yeah.
because everybody wants one now. But I was a little bit ahead of the curve by like about 6 months or a year. And then I found a whole bunch of people who just randomly wanted to help me, like put in one piece or another piece, or the shower or the toilet or whatever. And I was like, the universe just really, really came in and helped me. And so it's not all the way done. It's on like phase 3 of 8 or something. But I did do a very long trip just recently up to the New England states, and I was gone for 6 weeks, just driving, me and my dog Riley. And it was fabulous. And I did all this, I did all the stuff. I like slept in a Walmart parking lot in my van while it was all locked up, and I did the state parks and the national park. Like, I did all the stuff, and it really took me back to those times that I was free before I am who I am now. But I was free, and I didn't have anything going, and it was just lovely. And so now I'm trying to mesh that van life with also who I am now, and all of the um, things that I'm doing and all the commitments that I've made, and I'm trying to make them work together.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Let,
that for you.
let our
Yeah,
listeners
thank
know
you.
where can we find you, and where can we find more information about all the work that you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you for this platform, first off, but people can find me across all platforms at Dr. Pepper Hernandez. So I'm at drpepperhernandez.com. And then if you go to like TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, you can find me at Dr. Pepper Hernandez. So pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely. And one of the last things we wanted to ask, we just saw right before coming on air, was this new chakra series.
Oh, yeah.
You want to share a little bit about that before we get going?
Yeah, thank you for that. I have a chakra series. It's a 7 week chakra series. I do it a couple times a year, every year. I usually do it with the Taos Pueblo native roots, and I'll do a solo one as well. So I get the opportunity to go and do it in the community, which is so fun. I've done it in Humboldt probably 10 times. So this one is an online program where people can join from anywhere they are. I like to keep the classes fairly small, but we do 7 weeks, and each week we do a different chakra. And so a chakra is an energy field that is, part of your body. And if you have a disailment or disease or discomfort in your body, it's usually related to that energy being blocked in some way, some type of trauma that may have happened. And we don't get too deep into that, because my whole goal is to help you from where you're at to where you want to go, not where you're at to where you've been, right? It's going forward, because
Yeah.
I mean, shit, we've all done that already. So it's going forward. So the
Yeah.
chakra series is one chakra a week, and we go through it with affirmations, stones, oils, like all the good stuff, all the bruja stuff.
I love
Love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, universe, for leaving that phone on for this whole
For real.
interview. Yes. I'm like,
I know. Thank you
what's the
so
next
much,
Hurry,
question?
hurry,
Maria.
hurry.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, well, let's close this out and see if we can get a few more minutes afterwards.
Okay.
Um, but again, thank you for coming on with us, Dr. Pepper. Um, Everyone that's tuning in, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, listening, or if you're watching us through YouTube, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're live every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here from the TJ and Latinx station. You can make sure to listen to it, the Good News Radio app, every Monday live on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Ced Connects. That's CED underscore connects. This episode will be streaming. If you don't catch it live, you'll find the streams on Wednesday on through Spotify and Apple. I want to give a last special shout out to our social equity sponsors, Seventh Wave, Joyous 420, and Bianca Star Agency. And last, again, we want to thank all our listeners for checking us out and sticking with us. This is our 10th episode. I can't believe it. As I thought about it, I was like, dang, 10. So I want to thank you guys again for really listening to us, taking your time to listen to us whenever it is you are listening to us. Um, thank you again, Dr. Pepper, for being with us on the
Yes,
show.
thank you.
Really appreciate you.
Sheila wants another show with you, by the way.
We're gonna have to have a part 2 with you.
I'll take a part 2 anytime. Thank you, Danny.
We're
Thank you,
definitely gonna
Julia.
have to do that.
Yeah.
All right, and for with that being said, guys, we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Let me end it.